Here we are. We're in week 6 of Hydraulics 101. Welcome. I want to talk a little bit about organizational bodies uh, governing industrial standards. Some of you will be familiar with these, and then we will take a look at the actual week and see if there's anything we need to take a peek at, like the week 6 assessment. But let's just take a look at these. It says there's several international bodies that maintain standards for hydraulic systems and components, and these organizations ensure that safety is maintained for those working in the industry by ensuring that the design and manufacture of the equipment and components used in different systems meet the minimum specifications for the applications in which they are deployed. What language? I like that. So there's the I guess it's ASTM International, formerly the American Society for Testing Materials. Now, these guys, they'll develop voluntary consensus standards of quality, safety, and market uh, access across a broad range of industries. The ASTM, they would test soils, for instance. They would have standards for that for you guys to spin through by my basic soils class. We've come across some ASTM standards. And then there's American National Standards Institute to Ukraine operators. That's ANSI. You probably become really familiar with them, as they are the foundation for pretty much all of the mobile cranes in construction standards that I forget it's subpart P or CC. I get those two mixed confused. But anyway, it's 1926 1400 is the rule number. So ANSI is the United States representative to the ISO. Now, that's the International Standards Organization. And here it is down here. I let them describe themselves. The International Organization for Standardization is the world's largest developer and publisher of international standards. ISO is a non-governmental organization comprised comprised of representatives from the National Standards Institute of numerous countries throughout the world. Now, the I'm going to ask you a question in this assessment because of the number is I think I wrote it down when you get in the assessment. It'll be ISO/IEC 17024 2012 conformity assessment. I know quite a bit about that actually. At one time, we wanted to be a part of this certifying bodies. Like if you like everybody from food handlers to crane operators uh, have the same standards to qualify as a certifying body. Now hold on, mobile crane operators, cooks, of course, they do different things, but to be certified, there is different procedures that all of those guys used to go through in different states. Now they have decided on how to set this up. If you want to be a certifying body, CCO, or what's better known or lesser known as the National what is it? The National Committee for the Certification of Crane Operators, are known as CCO. Now they have complied with these standards, and I'm going to tell you something. they are rough, and just to mention a few things, you're not supposed to train the same people you're certifying. And I think we've even had to make some adjustments to comply with that at our campuses. So that whatever I said it was, I forgot. 17024 2012 conformity for assessments. So there's a question about that. So, you look up ISO assessments. I mean, just Google it. You'll find it, and you'll find that 17024. I think the question really refers to that in the assessment. It says it's general requirements for bodies operating certification of persons, such as NCCCO. Then there is did I miss the SAE? That's in there. Now, this in Joint Industrial Council, I think it's done away with. They say it's defunct. The organization's hydraulic standards are still recognized and frequently referred to, and persist in legacy parts, codes, and schematics. Now, there's one still in use connecting or fittings. This JIC fitting, it's called, is still used, and it has a peculiar setup. They came out with it in 1950, I believe it was, and it has the what I always call ferrule and like a copper fitting, metal on metal, and like a wedge thing. But I want you to investigate that a little bit. I have asked you something about that in the assessment. So just go Joint Industrial Council fitting, and I Googled some things like uh, describe the JIC fitting, and it's kind of all over the place. You shouldn't have any trouble finding something that would satisfy my question about it. Then there's the SAE, or the Society of Automotive Engineers. Uh, it's an international association of engineers and related technical experts. SAE develops voluntary consensus standards for the aerospace, automotive, and commercial vehicles. The I got something written down here if I can find it. It was I think in my assessment there was a question in there, something about what what certification could you get in your current course, like this right here. I don't remember it specifically, and I don't remember if it comes through the Society of Automotive Engineers. But I asked that question in the course that we have called Heavy Equipment Preventive Maintenance, because we go into detail on tracks, you know, all the way everything about the suspension system of a dozer, why you don't operate them in reverse if you don't have. We go really deep into that in that course. It's a pretty good course. But that question was meant to be asked back in that course, and it still is in there. But I did see that there's certificates for hydraulic specialists, hydraulic uh, system specialists uh, that are given out. You might Google that if you're interested. Now, listen, to be a hydraulic specialist troubleshooter, you're going to have to know a whole lot more than you're going to get in this course, because we're sticking with theories. We're going to get a little bit into the components, such as the insides of the pumps and accumulators and different kinds of valves, but not very deep. We just don't have time to do it. This is mostly about why hydraulics and how hydraulics work and give us an understanding of it. So let me find a couple of more things here. While I got this is your textbook I'm looking at, and I can't seem to get it. Oh, That's because I'm not on it. So it's gonna move. I bet I can get there quicker. Let's see there. I wanted to talk a little bit about safety concerns. Uh, it's part of this module, and I don't want to neglect it. We know about uh, hydraulic pressure when you're checking for it. We don't use our hand and things. We know about it getting, up under your skin, and has been known to do serious damage to people, fingers and hands and things like that. So it says that those systems use hot, high pressure fluids, right, and large amounts of energy and can do personal harm, and it can occur quickly if you aren't proactive in preventing it. Rubber gloves, for instance, checking for leaks with a piece of cardboard. So they're talking about improper testing methods or use of improper test equipment, such as using underrated hoses or gauges. Use of inadequate replacement parts, such as hoses, seals, or tubes, can result in the rupture of these components and not only the escape of hot, high pressure fluid, but also the sudden uncontrolled movement of machine components could have a dangerous result. Have a story of I put in a lot of fiber optics all over the place, and you put those fiber optics, you plow conduit in the ground, and then you blow that fiber optic through that conduit. Well, that plow that we had a 6-inch hydraulic attitude, they call it. It's kind of the adjustment from straight up and down to well, like the blade on the dozer has an attitude adjustment to it. So that component exploded. Now, I mean, the seals just blew out of it, and th- there was no preventing that. I'm just talking about the impact of it. But there was usually the plow foreman back there at the back has a guy. When you're burying direct copper, you don't want it to scrape against the plow boot. So you got this guy that's kind of pushing it instead of it being pulled down in there. So he's back there with me. That thing blew up. He jumped and was on the side of the road, and he jumped in the traffic lane, and he got hit by a car. It was amazing that he came out. He knocked him up in the air, but he came out pretty much unscathed. Just probably needed a change of underwear. Uh, Sorry about that. It just occurred to me. That's true. Uh, so we can never be too safe. PPE, glasses, safety glasses, um, earplugs, things like that. Hydraulic tools such as presses, those things do the same thing. They operate the same way. They have seals and things like that, and are under extreme pressures. And you'll see some warnings and cautions on labels on those machines. And here we go talking about that oil injection. Hydraulic systems operate at high pressures that are typically to 33 to 5,000 psi and can exceed 10,000. That high pressure is used, mainly to help us work. But if that pressure is allowed to escape and your skin or other body parts are exposed to it, some very serious consequences can occur. The skin can not only be punctured but ripped, I mean severely ripped open by that fluid. And if it gets into your bloodstream, there's a good possibility of getting blood poison, which in turn could lead to death. I know there's a lot of gloom and doom here, but there's a lot of gloom and doom out there. So stay wired tight, you know, have a sense of urgency while you're working around this stuff. Uh, when you're looking for leaks, don't use your hand. We've heard that from certificate programs to probably on the job site. Oil injection into the hand. There's some illustrations of it. trap pressure. Pressure can be trapped in many components, even after the machine is shut off. So you need to, what do you do when you shut down your machine? What do? You relieve the pressure off of the components, right? You wiggle your control sticks and let it relax. Uh, so remember that. Manufacturer service information. The operator's manual is your Bible. Talks about relieving pressure safely, especially on things like accumulators and other things where they're manually relieved. Follow procedures carefully. System pressure relief, perform appropriate lockout, tag out procedures when appropriate. Let's see, crushing. Uh, there's a lot of caught between pivot points on a articulated dump truck or loader. Those are places you do not want to be. Uh, just this is a little bit of review, but burns, the fluid is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It could get up to that. Make sure you take precautions. Safety tip here: adjusting running a piece of equipment should be avoided. Shut the thing down. It'll start back up. But sometimes it's necessary to do so. There are times when it takes two people to do one thing on a machine. So you have to make sure nobody gets in or out of that piece of equipment while it's running. There's a way to lock the articulating cylinders on a loader. Make sure you do that. Uh, there's a way to lock your lift cylinders when your bucket is raised and you need to work on there. Make sure you do that. Uh, Even on a skid steer, when you raise the lift arms, you can lock it. Take time and do that. It's slicky around. Leaking hydraulic fluid. Hydraulic fluid is extremely slippery. So hold on to something. It can catch on fire. It burns. It's, what did it say? Mineral oil base, which is flammable. Uh, More than one machine caught fire and burned up because of a hydraulic leak that had either been sprayed onto a turbocharger or ignited by welding. Be careful when you're welding around hydraulics. Some of these safety things. There's that accumulator. We'll be talking about what that does. That's kind of a shock absorber and storage cylinder for extra hydraulic fluid. But we'll get into that. Brands of connectors and hoses and tubes. Make sure you got the right connector when you're getting a new one. Never tighten leaking connectors while the system's under pressure. Okay, yeah, let's see. Think about covered it as far as safety goes. This will go into it more in depth, but there's several steps involved in this, but there's a process for de-energizing the whole system. And let's see, ensure that it's accidentally re-energized, etc. Let's wait and get into accumulators and things like that. Okay, this is when you disconnect the battery or disarm it. You want to make sure it's all. Here is actually what you do. Communicate the system shutdown to all infected. Shut down system according to normal. Turn off the power. Lock out energy sources. Release all sources of stored energy using bleed valve. And confirm de-energization. Attempt to restart the machine to confirm the power is off. So I'm glad we just went ahead and went over that. Uh, so let me, I want to try to get, I think I can do it here. I'm going to go to the, if it's not up there, here. Here's the hydraulics. So let's look at week 6 before we shut this video down. All right, we're looking at the home page. I want to go to the modules. I'll probably put the video I think in here, there's a video in there now, but I don't like it. And it's an old one of mine where I'm talking about in-person dates that are way different from what ours are. Uh, Speaking of that, uh, let's talk about, well, no, that's what messed up this video. Anyway, there is an announcement out uh, with the in-person training dates. If you have problems with those, please let us know. I have 2 students that are going to have issues, but let me know and we'll see what we can get done. Uh, but let's get on down here to week 6, I think it is there. This is the coming up at week 5, you're in your midterm, and here we are where we are at week 6, and we just got through talking about these 2 things right here. That's the title of this, uh, and I'm going to put the video in here, but I think, and I want to get in there. These are objectives. I try to put objectives in here too. Identify specific injuries related to pressurized hydraulic system. We kind of went over that. Proactive measures, you know, PPE, uh, pay attention, stay alert. De-energize a hydraulic system. We went through that rather fast, but I encourage you on some of these things that you have this book. Go back there for your own sake. You're going to be in charge of people pretty soon, and you're going to have to be the one that's making sure everybody gets to go home with all of their fingers, toes, etc., and their life. So take this stuff seriously. Uh, get back to the module. And we have a tailgate of safety plan. I haven't even went over it, but you guys are doing on that. What was it? Was it the? It was a vague thing. I think some of you are still working on it. I called it Pascal's law, but I put some pretty vague things on there that it's going to make you try to dig deep to find some usable information. Here is that assignment, and I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at it with you. If you look at this American Society, I'm just talking about what we just talked about. Now I'm referred to as the international standard for this, and there is a standard on hydraulic fluid, and I want you to look it up. All you got to do, copy this, paste it, Google it, and you'll zap right there. Briefly, what does the standard tell us? It has like a little abstract, 4 or 5 lines. I want to know that you've read that, and the best way to do that is tell me what it says, okay? All right. American National Standards Institute, ANSI, that's the one that the crane operators, have to, all of their standards. Actually, that's where OSHA, that's the foundation, I think, of all the OSHA requirements. Uh, it's the ANSI represents the international, is the U.S. representative of that ISO, and it's also uh, let's see, if you there's the reference to the crane operator. I want you to go into there it is, subpart CC, cranes and derricks and construction. And again, you Google this. I want you to know, because you're not going to be surprised. It covers a lot of things that aren't cranes. It covers presses and stuff like that. But tell me a bit about that. And I'm asking you, what does it cover? It'll have a little abstract. You don't have to go into detail. I just want to know that you've read it. So tell me what it says. And here is the ISO. Can you tell me what the ISO, International Electrical Contractors, International Standards Organization, and in conjunction with IEC Standard 17024 2012. Tell me what that uh, applies to. It's really simple, and I want you to know really what that applies to. Uh, so you can do that. It's 2 or 3 sentences. You can let me know. ASE, what do I want to know that? Oh, not sure, but they do offer a certification. Oh, it says, can you tell me what certification? This is my story I was telling earlier. That would apply to in the course you're now taking. That was written in our diesel in our heavy equipment preventive maintenance, because we get into a lot of diesel technology stuff in there. So it's a stretch, but you couldn't take that course and become a diesel tech certified diesel technician, ASAE diesel technician. But a lot of I call it what like trade schools or community colleges and lower level academic places, mostly trade schools that don't offer degrees, do offer certifications and certified by Society of Automobile Engineers in technology, diesel technology, and automotive technology. I don't think I asked the question there. It doesn't look like it. So So, yeah, can you tell me what certification they offer that would apply to the course you're now taking? Well, if you want to throw something in there about diesel technology, hydraulic specialist, but that's not an SAE certification. That's something that I do not know of any SAE certification in hydrology, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was. I just didn't take the time to look around. If you have the time, uh, take a look, see if it is. There are some certifications from some hydraulic type organizations that aren't covered here. And then lastly, here's that Joint Industrial Council, which no longer exists. But I asked that uh, question about that, Jay. I think I gave the answer right there highlighted. Anyway, uh, try to look it up, see if you uh, can go a little deeper. And if not, that's okay. I just want to make sure that you are aware of these organizations as a leader, that you are aspiring to, if you are aspiring to be a leader in the construction industry or manufacturing for that matter, but construction for sure. You need to know about these. The ANSI thing's a big deal. Uh, because it governs a lot of things to do with cranes and heavy equipment. Uh, so be sure you're aware they're around. They are around. I think that that's going to do it for my video. Let me glance through here right quick. Uh, there I am. This right here is the hydraulic fluid standard from ASTM. Uh, please read that since you're dealing with hydraulics and we are in hydraulics. I think I did ask the question, what is that? But here it is right here. I think I put the whole thing in there. Yeah. Well, this is what you're going to see, mostly a little abstract. So no big deal. And I mean, when you're answering those questions I put in there. Okay. Looks like I've covered much of everything. I guess it's not fair if I don't take a peek at the tailgate. So it says there's this video, and it says the video below is about safety concerns while hydraulic. Oh, I remember this. While working with hydraulic systems, I think it's focused on landfill operations. However, those operations use as much, if not more, heavy equipment as earth moving. So relying on comments, ideas, and replies that you get from this video, put together a safety plan based on your observations in the video. A safety plan would Google what's a safety plan. It's a structured thing, and see if you can outline it. safety plan for heavy equipment, safety plan for hydraulic systems, anything like that. Just don't blow it off, you know. So I'm asking you these three things. I suggest while reviewing, make notes on preventive measures and include in this topic. Okay, so include things from here in your safety plan. To see. So am I asking you to make a safety plan? Let me go back through here. The below information concerns while working with hydraulic systems. The video below is about safety concerns while working with hydraulic. I think it focuses on landfill, you know, which has a lot of heavy equipment. And then I say, relying on comments, ideas, and replies, put together a safety plan based on your observations in this video. Do it. You know, it doesn't have to be very formal, but do it. I want you to have some kinetics. I want kinesis, they call it. If you write it down, you may remember it. Keep in mind the different workers that might be involved. You know, there'd be a mechanic, there'd be an operator, there might be it's a flagger or something like that. And I'm suggesting general information. I suggest while viewing, make notes on preventive measures and include in this topic. And that's preventive measures in the safety plan. The topic is the safety plan. Uh, the topic is safety concerns while working with hydraulic system. I'm sorry. Emergency action plan. What steps to be taken in the, what's going to happen if somebody does get cut? You know, just follow first aid procedures. You know, you do not know what the accident is or the results until it happens. That is in case in all accidents. So you may want to include, if it is this, do this. You know, like if it's a cut, stop the bleeding. You know, clean the wound. You know, if a guy passes out, uh, what is it? Respiration, the pump in the chest thing can't even, it won't come to my mind. So accident or incident reporting protocol. You've worked around this. You can come up with something to for that third response right there. And I'm not saying it has to be talking to somebody. It's just I want three responses about what would be general information you gather out of that video. Come up with a emergency action plan, what step, you know, the steps might be taken in the event of an accident, and then your how do you report an accident? You know, there's a form. You know, you would witnesses. Remember, you need witnesses. You describe what happened, who was involved, and witnesses are important. And what was the extent? You know, was it a death? Was it a broken bone? As far as you know. So feel free to discuss and use each other's ideas. However, I want the above three items to be addressed as one. In other words, each of you are going to do these three or discuss these three items. That's what I mean by that. Well, it doesn't have to be to another student. I'm more interested in seeing what you have about these three things. So you can call it, you can talk to another student. Matter of fact, they're encouraging it, but it doesn't have to be that you're going to talk to your cohort. Just be sure you discuss these three uh, items up here. General information, you know, emergency action plan, and you know, the if it's this, what you, if you have time to define some things like that to put in here. You know, it's probably not going to be in the course. You may have to do a little googling to uh, get this, and probably could google a safety plan. Okay, let's shut down this video, and we'll go from there. uh, let's see, this is week 6. You've already had your uh, midterm. Haven't graded it yet, but I'll get to it.